My name is Sean Shapiro, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop, where we answer your traffic and police questions. And we do it Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's the thing that we do on social media. And why do we do it? Well, we do it because we want you to have the answers to your questions. It's really simple. We're the police. We are the knower of many things and the provider of information to the folks who want to know stuff. So if you're new to the channel, here is the way to go and play. To ask questions, use the Q&A function. That is the button down below under Interact or the bubble with the question mark. If you're on TikTok, that's probably how you're going to see it. If you are on Instagram, well, then you can use the question mark in the bubble. If you're watching on any other platform, and we are currently broadcasting on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok. If you're on TikTok, we got you with a new look. And if you're watching us on Twitter, you can't actually ask us questions because their API is not cooperating. They're not being cooperative. That's what I'm saying. It used to work and does not currently work, but we hope to have it working again. So if you're watching on Twitter and want to ask us questions, stop watching on Twitter. Come over to YouTube. That's probably the easiest place for you to join us. You can get us at Traffic Services Toronto Police. Of course, you can get us on any of the other platforms. Traffic Services on Twitch also works really, really well. Apparently, it's hard to read chat with this. So here's a poll. Since we have this wonderful functionality, do you like the background or not? If you like it, happy face. If you don't like it, to the cry face, and we will take a poll, and at the result of the poll, I will either deactivate this or leave it active. See what we think. Change is always change, and we'll see how it goes. Today being the 5th of April, we can tell you that the Vision Zero enforcement team is located, or at least focusing their efforts in both 11 Division and 43 Division. That's the neighborhoods of the Junction, Weston, High Park, Ronsonsvale, Bendale, Woburn, Highland Creek, West Hill, and Guildwood. Now they are going there to help out the officers that are already doing good work in those divisions. They're augmenting. They're doing more enforcement to try and change driver behavior. They're focused on driver behavior like speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving. They go out there and they write a lot of tickets. They don't give a lot of warnings, and that's because they are changing behavior to make the roads safer. We understand that minor collisions are going to happen, but the collisions that lead to serious injury and death on our roads, those are completely avoidable and completely unacceptable. We see too many people being severely injured and killed on our roads. We want that to stop, at least as much as we can. And it's driver behavior that does it. It's not accident. They're collisions because someone did something. Andrew McNaughton says, how are you today? I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Andrew's coming in through YouTube. Now, we are, of course, going to jump right into some Q&A. But before we do that, I want to mention the stats. I put up a video this morning on TikTok, and we're going to put it on a reel as well on Instagram. But it's talking about the number of arrests that were made over the last weekend. So that's from Friday at 6 p.m. all the way till Monday at 6 a.m. How many arrests? 20 people were arrested for impaired operation in the city of Toronto, just the city of Toronto. Hi from Seattle. I see you in Seattle at 206 King. The deal is that we arrested 20 people, and there's some interesting stories. There's always interesting things, the details about what went into that collision. So I say collision, arrest. And I'm going to bring up the collision because one person drove into a building, an apartment building. Another person they drove into a police car. These are things we call clues that they might be impaired. So yeah, they got arrested. One person got arrested. They had 4 previous convictions for impaired operation. They were before the courts, or they are currently before the courts on a impaired operation charge. And of course, they just got arrested and charged with yet another charge for the same. So some people are not getting the message. So it's almost tied, 21 to 24, in terms of whether you like or dislike the new look of with having this background. Maybe we need to adjust it. Maybe I need to move my name around. Maybe I need to move myself around. I don't know. If I move everything up, maybe I can put up something to make it easier to read.
Oh my
chat.
Goodness, that really
was that
me off.
Was that trippy?
That was really weird.
All right, yeah, we'll have to mess around with this and play. Should I put it back to normal? What do you think? I don't know. I don't even know where the button would be to do that. I think I have to leave it. I don't even know where to
we'll suck it up for this stream. Cool.
Oh, effects. Here, I can turn it off. Can I turn it off? Here. There we go. Back to normal. Is this easier?
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Hey, but you know what? We're often being asked who we are, what we're doing, and that kind of answers the question by putting in that thing. So let me just adjust this a little bit down. Maybe have less space above my head. I don't like messing with settings. Sorry for the bouncy camera. Okay. We have Akela Draconis coming in from YouTube with greetings and salutations. Good morning. Ian says, why do I get charged to see how many tickets the Halton police give out? FOI, shouldn't it be free? I don't know why or how it works. If you're doing a Freedom of Information Act request, we publish a lot of stuff on our website. I don't know what they do, and I don't know what stuff is releasable and not releasable without going Freedom of Information Act. So I don't know how to answer your question because that's not my department. They do have departments here, the Freedom of Information Act office. Yeah. So sorry, Ian. I don't know what to tell you. Alan coming in with a good morning to Sean and moderators. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you too. Thanks for coming in. Long-time members of our community. We are a community. This is not just a show that you watch. This is part of something bigger. It's something where we are a community of people who want to know stuff and people who know stuff that share stuff. Yeah. Okay, let's get into some questions. I have a license plate cover and it covers Ontario. Well, any license plate cover, especially ones that cover Ontario, are illegal. You can get charged for a $110 fine under the Highway Traffic Act. You probably want to remove that. You can't cover any part of your license plate, whether it be clear or tinted or anything. Can I peel my old plate stickers off? If your plates are currently valid, if you've renewed your plates under the new system, I would say yes. If you are waiting and you have not renewed yet under the new system and your plates currently have a validation sticker saying they're legit, then I would wait, just because that's a visual indicator that it's currently valid. That's just me. Can you? You probably could. I would suggest waiting until you renew. Okay. Okay, questions about motorcycles, flip-flops. Is that two questions or one? So flip-flops, are they legal? So flip-flops legal when driving in a car or a motorcycle? I'd say they're a bad idea for both, but they're not illegal on either. So you can wear flip-flops when you're driving a car or a truck. Or motorcycle. However, on a motorcycle especially, it's a really bad idea. We say cover your ankles, wear good footwear that supports you. Bad things happen when footwear falls off and you end up, trying to do a Fred Flintstone with your bare skin. So, legal but not the best option. Okay, I have what is this? Someone hit my parked car. I have footage. Who's at fault? If your car is parked, the car that hit you is likely going to be at fault because you were not in your vehicle at the time. Now, obviously, if you were not parked properly or legally, there may be some level of responsibility that falls onto you, but the collision would be the driver, not the unoccupied parked car that would be at fault. I'll say it 9 times out of, I would say 99.9% of the time, it's going to be the driver. I can't speak to your specific situation because I haven't seen the video. But unoccupied cars are very rarely charged in relation to collisions. Are demerit points shown on tickets? No, because we don't issue the demerit point. That is a ministry function after the courts convict. If you ask the question of the officer charging you if there's points, or they will likely be able to tell you. You can also easily look it up. But most charges for moving violations anyway do come with some level of demerit point. And when you accumulate those, it's a bad thing because the ministry sends you letters and says, shape up, you're a bad driver. Okay, let's have a look at Instagram for some questions. Jay Keir says, because at fault, cyclist pays for car damage and collision. Can that happen here? What? British, maybe not BC was British Columbia. At fault cyclist pays for car damage and collision. Can that happen here? So, they're not insured, so maybe you could sue them. I'm not familiar with whether or not cyclists have ever been held accountable in a lawsuit or by insurance companies for damages. I don't know. I don't know the answer to your question, but it is an intriguing one. Let's see here. Okay. John Hamlin, master technician, says, why do police bother me about legally carrying a fixed blade knife in a perfectly legal manner? Well, carrying a knife of any kind could be a cause for concern. Why do they bother? They ask questions. We investigate. People who carry big knives in public, depending on where you are and depending on the environment you're in, it could be an offense to have a large knife. Going to large public gatherings could be an issue. But that really depends. I don't know enough about where you are and what is happening. But if you're carrying a knife legally, it shouldn't be an issue. Okay. Question is, do you know the data showing if speed cameras help minimize accidents or fatalities? And if it was used, I have to expand this, to implement the cameras in Toronto? I don't have that information. It is a good question, and I'm sure the City of Toronto, who actually monitor and control that program, would be the people to ask in terms of what it's doing. But here's the deal. Anything that changes driver behavior is good. If it slows people down, it is going to reduce collisions and major injury. The slower you go, the less likely to have a serious injury or death as a result of a collision that occurs. Okay, let's have a look here. We have, what was your work outside of police work? You seem to be very knowledgeable in streaming and broadcasting. I learned a lot on the go. I used to work in the computer industry, so I'm not afraid of computers, but streaming was really new to me. It was not something that I came to this job with, but I do tinker and I do read and I do experiment, and Q did help a lot in teaching me about broadcasting, at least in terms of the streaming world of it. But thank you. I have learned a lot. Apparently, I'm still learning. Okay, a question that says, hey, off-topic question. Question was, can I carry a switchblade around with me? So a switchblade under the Criminal Code of Canada is a prohibited device. So you would be arrested if you were caught with a switchblade just for possession of it. Never mind whether you were carrying it or otherwise. Not allowed to possess it in Canada. Let's see here. A question of emergency vehicle approaching with sirens. If there's a designated bike lane, should I pull into the bike lane or not? So, it's a good question. If you're being told to pull over to the closest curb, the cyclists are supposed to pull over to the closest curb too. So in that situation, the Highway Traffic Act would support entering the bike lane, in my opinion, to get over and out of the way of emergency vehicles. So I think based on the description or the wording in the Highway Traffic Act, you'd be safe to enter the bike lane for that purpose. However, not a bike track or a raised and divided area. That would be bad. Okay. Is it illegal to sit in the back of a truck? So in Ontario, you have to occupy a seat with a seatbelt provided. If a seat was created and it was prior to the laws being enforced or put into place where you required a seat belt to be in the vehicle, so an older vehicle, then you'd still have to be in a seat that was designed to be a seat. So it would be illegal to sit in the back of a pickup truck or work truck without a seat. That was not just a seat that you bolted there, not a milk crate, but a seat that was designed to be there. Does your dog need to be secure in your vehicle? Need to be, depends if you mean legally or if it would be the right thing to do. We suggest that you tether your animals wearing a harness, tether them or crate them, but they shouldn't be free to roam your vehicle, and they certainly can't be on your lap or around you, the driver. So here's the reason. In the event of a collision, that animal is going to end up being a projectile within your vehicle, could injure you, could injure, of course, themselves. And let's say they were okay after the collision, but you were trapped, the vehicle was no longer secure and that the doors or windows were broken. Well, they might get out and get hurt after the collision. So don't do that. They should be tethered. Is a front license plate allowed to be in the front windshield? That's a question coming in from Julio. And the answer is no. In Ontario, you cannot display your front license plate on the windshield. It must be on the front of your vehicle. So it has to be on the front of the vehicle, not facing the front. So that's the front bumper, front grille, front. Yeah. Let's see here. Are hubcaps required? No. There's no law requiring hubcaps. And sorry, Andrew, he's, yeah, I got the question. Yeah, so Andrew wants to know, are they required or is it illegal not to have hubcaps? No, because my winter tires don't have hubcaps because they're just steel wheels, and there's no law that says I must put decorative plastic covers on them. Can I own an ex-cop car, or do I have to be a cop? So the deal is that you can have vehicles that used to be police vehicles. You just can't put yourself out to be a police officer and impersonate one. But having a vehicle that used to be a police vehicle isn't against the law. Again, it can't be marked and trying to put yourself out as one. Here's a good one. What happens if a G1 driver drives with a G2 passenger? Well, it means they're driving unaccompanied because they must have a qualified supervising driver, which means that that driver must have a full G and 4 years experience. Now, that experience can be a combination of G and G2. So once they get their G2, if they did 3 years and then did a year as a full G, that would be enough for 4, total of 4. Okay. And so they would be ticketed, and you would get on conviction for driving with a G2 driver, you'd get a 30-day suspension on your first conviction, a 90-day suspension on your second, and on your third, you would be kicked out of the graduated licensing program. So it's a serious offense to drive with someone who isn't qualified to supervise you. Leo wife, good morning. My wife is Leo wife, and she's watching the show. Good morning, honey. We're talking about traffic stuff. Yeah, because we do that. By the way, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I go on social media Monday to Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. answering your traffic and police questions. And if you don't already follow us, please do. Either follow us on TikTok, Instagram. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. You can subscribe and follow to us on Twitch. And if you're watching anywhere else, whatever platform you're watching, you should be a follower. And we do this all the time. You get to ask us questions. We get to answer them. It's a great thing, this community we built here. Now, if you are watching us on Twitter, I do apologize. Your questions are not coming through. You've got to be using anything but Twitter to follow us in order to be heard. And that's just because Twitter, well, they messed up. When they got rid of Periscope, they broke stuff, and now we can't hear from them. But we do want to hear from you, so follow us on YouTube and subscribe. You can get us at Traffic Services Toronto Police, and we would be happy to answer your questions. Do you think an Autobahn highway could work? Well, it works where they are. I don't think it would work here. You can't just slap on a high speed limit and make it safe. It's more than that. They're very strict about enforcing the rules there. They have low speed limits in certain areas, 80 to 130 kilometers in populated areas. The unlimited or unregulated speed limits, they do occur in some areas outside of populated areas, but they do tend to yield tremendously large collision zones where cars kind of go kaplowy when collisions do happen. Yeah, I don't think it would work here, but you never know. What are some things not to do with an M1? Well, I can tell you the rules about an M1, like not having a passenger, because you can't. M1 is a learner's permit for motorcycle. So you can't operate on the highway with a speed limit over 80 kilometers an hour. You can't ride with passengers. You can't ride a half an hour before you can ride from a half an hour before sunrise and a half an hour after sunset. And that's pretty much it in terms of the rules. Of course, 0 blood alcohol content. And that's probably... in terms of the rules, that's it. But be cautious. Take a course and get your M2, I should say. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. A 14-year-old stopped going 209 kilometers an hour. What happens? They get charged. They get a license suspension even though they don't have a license. They get an effective suspension. They get the vehicle seized. They get charged for not having a license because they're 14. The person who gave them access to a vehicle is probably going to get charged as well. Lots of things are going to happen. 209 kilometers. They could qualify for criminal charges too. If they took the vehicle without consent, they would be charges. There's a lot of bad things. This is a sad situation that this is even something that we would suggest could happen and does happen. It's just unfortunate. People do very, 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 very bad and poorly thought out things, or not thought out at all.
Oh my goodness! Can you drink while I ask this question?
Is it an oh my goodness question?
Yes, it's been in chat for a few times already.
Okay.
Is it an offense to drive with a pet in my lap?
Yes, it is. It is careless driving. It could also be drive while crowded, and it's also just cruel because in the event of a collision, those airbags that deploy at like 200 miles per hour tend to create a fur bullet, and it's bad for the animal that generally will die. It's just not good. I laugh because I'm envisioning a flying pet. It's bad. You should have your dog either crated or tethered in a rear passenger seat position, even if it doesn't like it, or leave it at home. Stunt driving, 140 and a 60, any chances for jail? Absolutely, there's chances for jail because, in my opinion, that is dangerous driving, and criminality is more than justified at that speed. It's going to depend on the officer and the conditions, of who's around and what's observed. But 140 and a 60 is unacceptable.
Can we talk about international students and if they face racism, how should they address it?
That's a really not traffic related question. But at the same time, if you're dealing with anything like that, speak to people in your school, like teachers. It depends on what if you're saying that someone's being racist or aggressive towards you from in an academic perspective, if someone's bullying you, I mean, that is something that you could, depending on the situation, contact police. It really depends on the situation, but definitely speak to someone in the school. There are counselors and there are teachers, and they can direct you in the right direction. Directing. Okay. Is a loud exhaust enough to get pulled over? Absolutely, it is. Either having a defective or creating either your hardware is defective or you've replaced it with something that's illegal. So having an improper exhaust is a charge under the Highway Traffic Act. Excessive or unnecessary noise is a charge. And in fact, whether it's your exhaust system or your stereo that's causing too much noise, it's certainly a reason to be pulled over. You can be pulled over just for the purposes of verifying that you're a licensed driver. That's a lawful stop. Pulling you over to make sure you have insurance, a lawful stop, and making sure that you're not under the influence of alcohol. Again, lawful. You don't need to do anything else to be pulled over. Let's see here. Do I have to stop for a stop sign on private property? I'm going to say yes, but not because there's a ticket involved. Yes, because if you don't stop and it leads to a collision, you will be responsible for that collision, even if the ticket for running a stop sign isn't, what is it called, enforceable. So and here's the nice thing about private property, it often has a lot of video cameras to support as evidence. So yeah, stop at all stop signs because it's the right thing to do and prevent collisions. That's what all this traffic safety stuff's all about, preventing collisions. What is this? We already talked about peeling the stickers off the plates. The question was, can I take it off the plates now that they are not required? My suggestion is wait until you've renewed on the system. If you haven't renewed, I would wait. Now, that's not to say you can't. Just my suggestion is wait until you're renewed. Okay. What are the road laws on e-scooters? So there's detail. If you Google Ontario e-scooter pilot, you'll get all the details specific to e-scooters, but I can tell you this, they're not legal at all whatsoever in the city of Toronto. You cannot use them in sidewalks, parks, roads, nowhere. And that's the deal. That's for e-kick scooters. Now, e-scooters, if you mean e-bikes, that's a different story. E-bikes are not e-scooters. The e-bikes are illegal as long as they meet the requirements of an e-bike. Things like you can't exceed 32 kilometers an hour. You can't be capable of going over 32 kilometers an hour. You have to have no more than a 500-watt motor, and there's a bunch of things there as well. You have to wear a helmet and so on. Interesting thing about e-kick scooters, though, I've seen a number of them on the road that have seats. People have added an aftermarket seat. Well, an e-kick scooter with a seat is instantly a motorcycle. It's a motor vehicle, and you require license, ownership, and insurance. So it's a great way to get a charge for driving a motor vehicle without insurance, where you would get a ticket that could face you with fines up to $25,000 for your first conviction. Things you didn't know, and now you do, and I just ruined the party for a whole bunch of people.
That Instagram question needs you specifically to answer verbally because it's very long.
I don't know which one we're talking about.
Is it legal to drive with a baby or toddler in the
I
passenger
see it here.
seat? Yeah.
I see it here. Let's put it on screen. Okay. Is it legal to drive with a toddler or baby even with their car seats in the passenger side? Is it legal to drive with a toddler or baby even with their car seats in the passenger side? I don't even understand what you're saying. Are you saying in the front seat?
Front passenger seat is what they're
Oh,
talking about.
I see. So the deal is for legal, you can operate, if you can legally and properly install a car seat in the front seat, it's not illegal. It is, however, unsafe. We suggest keeping children in the back seats, in car seats, or even after they're out of car seats, in the back seat until they're 14 years old. 14 years old is the youngest. We suggest having a young person in the front seat. It's not a very popular answer, but it is the answer we give because the people who are specialists, sciencey people, doctory people, they say that skeletal development hasn't completed until about 14 years old when it would be safe to take impact from an airbag. Just in general, it's safer in the back seat. So there are situations where people have no back seat and do install toddler or baby seats in the front, and it's not illegal, it's just not advisable. And I hope that answers the question. Okay. Now I want to know if you think you were right or wrong.
Sandwiches.
Don't spam. We have some folks who like to spam. They like to talk about themselves repeatedly, ask the same question repeatedly, advertise businesses repeatedly. And what we unfortunately have to do is mute them. It's because it's disruptive. They're not upsetting me. They're upsetting all the other people in our community. And the people watching this show are part of our community, and we look out for them. So please don't spam, or we'll be taking away your privileges of being in the room. It's just the way it's got to be. Okay. How long do custom plates take to come in? I have no idea. That's a Ministry of Transportation ordery custom question. You'd have to ask them. I imagine a long time because everything seems to take longer than it used to nowadays. Let's see here. Big Jeff Fresh, good morning. How's it going? Coming in from YouTube. This is late for you. Did you sleep in? What's happening? All right. What is this? Is it required to call police even after a small accident? Well, there's no accidents, just collisions. Somebody's responsible for what happened. If you are involved in a collision, there are requirements of when you need to get police involved. So if there's someone injured, it could be one of them. But the requirement for reporting is going to be a minimum of $2,000 damage between all vehicles. If it's less than $2,000, it's not something considered reportable. That's not to say you can't report it, but there's no legal obligation to report it. Here's the thing. Are you a mechanic? If you're not, you probably won't have a good idea of estimation of the cost of repair. A minor scratch in a luxury car could be $5,000 on its own. So more than likely your collision is reportable. And if there's collisions with injuries, you need to report. So what do? You can call police and get direction. And very often, if the cars are drivable and it's not the middle of the night, there's no alcohol or other concerns in play, then you can go to a collision reporting center. And information for that is available on our website, www.torontopolice.on.ca. You can go /traffic, and that'll bring you to our page. And there's all sorts of tidbits of information, like things like about being in collisions. It'll direct you to the locations and what information you need to have. You can even print off a PDF for what information you need to record. Mark Anthony popping in from YouTube says, is a lane change in an intersection illegal? It's not illegal. It is, however, high risk, which whenever you're changing a lane, if you cause a collision, you become responsible. So it is a risky maneuver and not suggested, but it's not specifically illegal. So if you're able to do it safely, it can be done. Okay, we already answered the stop sign on private property question. How far can my tires poke out without fender flares? They can't. You're not allowed to have tires that poke out outside of your fender flares. That would be an improper tire. Now, is it something that's heavily enforced? No, it's not, because we focus our efforts on those big four, the behaviors that lead to serious injury and death, like speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. That doesn't mean you can get away with it, and you might get a ticket for it, so it's not suggested. Spacers and things, people do a lot of things in the interest of looking cool that are not safe or cool. Also, if you make those modifications, know that your insurance company might turn around and deny you a claim. Lots of things that are negative around customizing. That's not to say we don't want you to customize your car. You should make it your own and something you like, but they should all be legal modifications. 105 and a 70. Let's see here. What can happen? We can get stopped and charged 105 and a 70. So let's go to our speed thingamabobber.
Thingamabobber?
Yeah. I have a calculator here for what the fine is. I just thought I'd look at it. I haven't looked at it today. So 35 kilometers over. I have to go to main menu for this. 35 over will result in 4 demerit points, $265 in charges. Unless you're in a school zone or a Schedule 2 zone, it would go up to $520. It's not stunt driving at that speed, but you know what? It's still not a good ticket. So any ticket is a bad ticket. Tickets are not fun. Okay. Are bylaws arrestable? Listen, things. I'd have to look at which bylaw we'd be talking about. I'm sure there's a bylaw somewhere that could result in arrest. I just can't think of what it is. Okay. Should have read that before because it's. Can I remove the muffler in my car? Sure, you can remove it, but before you drive it on the road, you have to put one back on. You must have a muffler on your vehicle in order to operate it on the road in Ontario. If you don't, you're going to get a drive no muffler ticket, and probably along the lines or at the same time, you will likely be getting a ticket for unnecessary noise, which is one of the things that mufflers do. It muffles noise. Things that are so obvious and yet somehow not obvious. Okay. But why would anyone want to take a muffler off their car? It's bad for your engine. It's not even a good thing to do for your vehicle, and generally it doesn't sound good. Good morning. What are the laws around e-scooters that range between 40 to 80 kilometers an hour? E-kick scooters or electric scooters that go that fast are motorcycles. They are motor vehicles. They require license, ownership, and insurance, and are just generally not legal for the road. So, which means if you were stopped and charged, you would be getting tickets that have fines just on the insurance side of it that range from $5,000 to $25,000 if convicted, and up to 6 months in jail. Addition to driving without a license, insurance. Sorry, we covered the insurance, license, registration, safety. There's a ton of charges that you could be facing. Here's a great question. In Ontario, are you allowed to have a camera or GoPro on your motorcycle helmet? No, you're not. By mounting something like a GoPro onto your helmet, affixed to the shell would make it an improper helmet, and you would be facing a charge for improper helmet. Yes, not allowed. The reason being, and you can't modify the shell of a helmet. Basically, they're tested the way they come out of the box. Once you start messing around with those, you've made them unsafe. You stick a helmet camera on there, upon impact, you might find yourself snapping your neck and not being very alive afterwards, because that's a serious injury. And because of the potential for that injury, it's not legal. And I say potential, it's not guaranteed that it's going to go. It'll snap off. It might snap off. It might not. Will plate stickers be issued 407 fines? So there's no plate stickers anymore. If you have fines, whether it be 407 or any other platform, parking tickets, you won't be able to renew. And so, no, they won't issue the renewal. What is this? G2 suspend, does that delay G-test by that much time? If you're suspended and you need to accrue time as a licensed person, if you're suspended for a month, then you add a month to the time until you're eligible to take your G-test. Absolutely. Time while under suspension does not count towards the time needed to get to your next stage.
Dory.
Off topic, what's your favorite car? Cars that I fit in are my favorite. Cars that I do not fit in, I find difficult. I'm 6'5". I'm a big guy, and little tiny cars, as much as I like them, don't fit. I like the Hummer, the H1, the actual Humvee. I'd love one of those, but unfortunately they're not good on gas, and tend to be expensive even when they're really old. For the new people who have joined, 988 people, welcome. If you don't already follow us, please do. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I go live Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. answering your traffic and police questions. It's what I do. I'm a cop. I answer questions because I'm a traffic cop. So this is Ask a Traffic Cop, and that's the thing. Let's see here. Getting into... question about how did I get injured on a motorcycle? I was on a police motorcycle because I used to be a motor squad officer. I was on my way back from investigating a collision near Yorkdale, and while I was heading north, someone pulled out of a parking lot, well, not parking lot, a gas station parking lot, and Well, they pulled into my path and we ended up going kaboomskis. I went for a short flight. The takeoff wasn't terrible. The landing sucked. And as a result, I've been working a desk instead of a motorcycle since then. But thanks for asking. Doing much better. Every day is a little bit better. Working hard to recover and one day hit the road again. Do classic cars need cats and resonators? If a classic car was manufactured without a catalytic converter, without a resonator, without a muffler, at the time that it was manufactured, it wouldn't require that equipment after the fact. So if your car was manufactured without seatbelts, you don't need seatbelts. If you bought a car that brand new from factory came with all this equipment, you cannot remove it. Apparently there are people who are endorsing in dangerous acts and advertising their businesses in chat. Please don't do that. You'll be asked to leave or muted or banned or what have you. We do have a magical band of moderators, not band of moderators like band, but a band in a band, like a marching band. We have moderators. They are volunteers. They are not paid. They are not police officers. They are here to keep the room safe and friendly for all. So if you are here and you are being disruptive, you'll likely be asked to leave. Are you allowed to listen to music on a motorbike? Yes, you can either wear headphones or having speakers, but you can't create noise so loud that you are disruptive to everybody else in the world, because you could be creating unnecessary noise, thus being eligible for a ticket for unnecessary noise. My G2 expires this May. Do I have an extension? Yes, you are covered based on your expiry right up until December 31st, 2032, the end of this year. You remain valid. That's part of the COVID extensions that were put into place. Let's see here. Mark Anthony says, a car also pulled in front of me and stopped while I was on a motorcycle, and the TSV cop charged me with careless driving. I don't understand. What do you mean? A car pulled out in front of me and stopped while I was on a motorcycle. Yeah, I read it again. I don't understand how it just pulled out of where. And I don't know what the charge factored in. So I need to know more, Mark. Feel free to DM me so I can understand, or give me more details here. Peter Ross, good morning. Peter is a good friend. He's coming in from YouTube. He's from Facebook today, watching. Good to see you. I was talking about you earlier. 220. What did I say? Did I say 2032? Yeah, you don't get you don't get an extension to 2032 for your G2. It remains valid until 2022, not even 23, the end of this year. Yeah, I don't think the MTO would appreciate me giving extensions to 2032. They also don't really care what I have to say. So, question says, when am I coming to Alberta? I don't have any plans to come to Alberta. Alberta's fantastic. At some point, I will have to, just because I need to visit my friends in Brooks, Alberta. Okay. Is driving while drinking coffee illegal? Not in Ontario. Now, I will say that if you're drinking coffee and that becomes the focus of your day as opposed to driving your motor vehicle safely, it could result in charges of careless driving. So if you're, it's so good that you can't stay in your lane, then that could result in charges. But it's not specifically illegal to consume non-alcoholic or drug-laced beverages while you're driving. But I've seen people who are eating 3-course meals with knife and fork while driving with their knees. That would be careless driving, but not. But I will say this: in other provinces, I've been told it's distracted driving. I've just not read or confirmed that. Province by province, but people have said that you can get charged for sipping water in some places, which I don't agree with, but apparently it might be the law in some places. Let's see here.
Can you address this?
I can address something. What do we want to address?
People want to know if they can wear headphones and earbuds, or AirPods specifically, while they're driving.
Yes, you can in Ontario. Again, other provinces, different laws. Some provinces say you can cover one ear, others say you can cover both. In Ontario, there is no provision or requirement to have hearing at all. And you can wear headphones in both ears if you wish. However, I personally don't think it's the safest. I can't lay a ticket or a charge for it, but I don't think it's a good practice. But we've had that question before. It's a good question. Okay. How fast can I ran in the left line in the freeway? How fast can you, I'm going to assume you mean how fast can you go in the passing lane? The speed limit, that's the maximum. The speed limit is a speed limit is a speed limit. There is no exemption for those who want to get to work faster or pass the car that's going the speed limit. The speed limit is the maximum you can travel legally. Let's see here. What is the coolest car you've seen? I've seen so many cool cars. I can't think of the coolest car. I mean, I used to think the Lamborghini Countach was the coolest car. Apparently, it's a hunk of junk, but it looked cool when I was a kid. I love cars, so I go to the International Car Show whenever I can. So many cool cars on the road. I don't even know. I remember. I don't know. I have to think about this. But I like weird cars. I like military vehicles. I like big trucks, and I have to think about this. Okay. Is it illegal to have a knife in your car? Cutlery in your car is not illegal. But it depends on what you're talking about, and what the purpose of the vehicle, the knife is. But generally speaking, no, knives are not illegal to have in your vehicle. I had to buy my knife for the kitchen. It came home. What do you mean? What kind of knife are we talking about? Yay, Alberta! Are we making plans for a trip, Leo wife? Waleed says, visible minority stopped for driving wife car. Reason given is you don't look like a Smith. Is this legal? So you can be stopped to verify that you're a licensed driver. You can be stopped to verify that you have insurance. You can be stopped to make sure that you are sober when you're operating a motor vehicle. You don't look like a Smith doesn't sound like a really good reason to make sure that, if you did anything else, could be an issue. Certainly, if you think that you were stopped for an improper reason, you can make a complaint. That's an option that you have. The OIPRD takes complaints. You can make those complaints at a police station. You do have that opportunity. That obviously that doesn't sound like a good professional reason to pull someone over. That may not have been the reason they pulled you over, but it may have been a comment that was inappropriate. So again, Waleed is saying it's racial profiling. You can make a complaint if you think that that's what took place. I wasn't there, so I can't specifically say what was there and what was going on in the officer's mind. I'm not defending or anyone, but you should, if you feel that you've been wronged, make a complaint. Can I vape while driving? So the answer is yes, as long as you are vaping without anything that is illegal in that vape juice, and that you don't have anybody in the vehicle that's under the age of 16. The Smoke-Free Ontario Act says you can't vape or smoke with someone under the age of 16 in the car. Let's see here. I got my glasses broken while driving. Please explain. I think that's you who has to explain. I don't know how you broke your glasses. I wasn't there. Hold on a second. We have a tinting. What is the tinting that can be done on the car? So here's the deal with tinting. First time today, and so normally that's like way early in the show where people ask about tint. So you are the winner of the first person to ask that question today. You cannot have any tint on the front windshield, save and except for vehicles that were manufactured before 2017. So a 2016 or older vehicle can have a 3-inch or 75 millimeter tint strip across the top, known as a sun strip or brow. Now, aside from that being the only time you can have tint on the front windshield, you can have tint on the windows left and right of the driver to a maximum of 30% light blockage. More than that, your vehicle is unsafe for the road. Equally, if you have tint on the front windshield, the main portion of a front windshield, or any tint on a front windshield of a vehicle 2017 or newer, that would be unsafe too. You'd be unfit for the road. You could lose your license plates and have to go and get a safety. So we're talking about now windows left and right of the driver. You cannot have tinted you cannot have reflective tint, and you cannot have tint that is more than 30% light blockage. The windows behind the driver, so the rear passenger and rear windows, those can be as dark as you want. Now, there is an issue if you don't have proper mirrors. That because you must have a clear view to the rear. So if your rear window is completely blacked out and you can't see through it, well, that could be an issue that you're pulled over for, but you only require one mirror on your vehicle. And as long as you have a clear view to the rear with either your left or right side mirrors, then you're okay there too. I hope that answers your question. If you have more, let me know. Is Ontario increasing the speed limit to 110 kilometers an hour? Yes, there was some news about that, and that is specific to a handful of highways and short stretches of road. For instance, 404 northbound in Keswick, or from a stretch of road that leads to Keswick, it is 110 kilometers an hour, but 16 kilometers of road. That's it. So that is the deal there. It's not all roads in Ontario. It's specific roads. And apparently 6 people made comments saying that I have a radio voice. Well, thank you very much. I occasionally appear on the radio, but only through TikTok. In fact, we're going to be on the radio this week on Thursday. We're going to join Jerry Agar at 9:35 in the morning for 2 segments asking. We're doing the Ask a Traffic Cop TikTok. So we'll be here and we'll be joining them on the air. In fact, it's our extra large episode for the week. We'll be going from 9:30 a.m. on Thursday all the way to 11. So an hour and a half long episode. Be sure to join us because we'll be doing this so that I can be really, really exhausted at the end of it. That's the goal. A question from Wakanda Forever says, can I get pulled over for drinking water while riding my bicycle? Riding a bicycle and drinking water is not an offense. It should not be a reason to pull you over. And on a bicycle, you can't be charged for impaired operation either. So it's even if you were, I don't know, going down a rabbit hole trying to figure out where you're going with that question. But let's see here. How will the new plate sticker system work? The deal is that you go online, you renew with your insurance information, your registration, bring all those documents with you when you sit in front of your computer, and it's like instantaneously done online. As long as you have no outstanding debt or fines on your account, you should be no problem to do that. Let's see here. Kayla Dracona says, are you going to be the next Cam Woolley? I haven't had any offers, but you know what? I'm very happily employed by the Toronto Police Service and going nowhere until I retire, which is far, far away. Let's see here. But you know what? In 10 years, you never know. Who knows? I'm kidding. Okay. What are the laws around quick release steering wheels? So you can't remove an airbag legally. So you can't disassemble or remove an airbag to put an aftermarket steering wheel in. And specifically, quick release steering wheels are not safe or rated for the road, so they would be illegal, unsafe options. So don't put quick release steering wheels. Great for the track. The reason you put a quick release steering wheel on is because you created a passenger compartment that is smaller than that makes an opening too small for a driver to get out. Thus, you need to remove the steering wheel to get out of the vehicle. Otherwise, you can't get out. There's no reason to put a quick release steering wheel on a vehicle other than like Formula cars that I'm aware of. What if a cop is speeding without emergency lights on? It's legal. Police officers in police vehicles can exceed the speed limit and do not require lights and sirens to be active to do it. Why? I made a video a year ago about this. The reason being is because very often when we turn those lights and sirens on, people do some weird and wonderful things, like stop directly in front of us. It can create a dangerous situation that we don't want to have. We're trying to get somewhere to help someone or to enforce the Highway Traffic Act, whatever the case may be, and we need to get there, so it's often safer not to activate our lights and sirens. Let's see here. How are tickets given for going against a school bus? Usually by hand. When we pull you over for doing it. Now, there's also cameras being installed into school buses, and I don't know what the rollout period is for that, but there is going to be an electronic means similar to that of a red light camera system going into school bus enforcement. Because people just don't understand or don't care, but it is putting children at risk, and it is not okay. Big pet peeve. Anything that puts kids at risk is something that is passionate, that I'm even more passionate about. Obviously, traffic safety is something I care about, but when it comes to protecting kids, it's even more so. Let's see here. Can I drive without insurance if the car is insured? Well, if the car is insured, you have insurance, even if it's not your car. So maybe in different jurisdictions, it's different where the driver is insured, but in Ontario, you insure a motor vehicle, and as long as you are licensed, you can operate said motor vehicle. Now, there are some situations where insurance companies exclude specific drivers. For instance, if you have, Bob who lives with you and Bob can't drive, your insurance company may say that you live with Bob, but Bob can't touch your car. If that case, they would not cover him, and he's excluded from that policy. But that becomes more specific to a requirement of you and that insurance company within your contract. According to law, and according to our perspective, if your vehicle is insured, it's insured, and any licensed driver can operate it. That was a long and drawn-out answer for How do I get a speed bump How do I get a speed bump installed on my street? Contact your MP. Contact 311. Make reports. Get people that are involved in planning. Make them aware of what's going on. You can also put in a report on our core system. Now that is to say that there's an issue that requires enforcement. We don't do speed bump installation, but making all parties aware of issues would be something that you could do through our system. So you can go on to www.torontopolice.on.ca/CORE. That's core. It's the Citizen Online Report entry. You can make reports about issues in your neighborhoods. Obviously, if you want speed bumps, it's probably because people are speeding. So you can ask for enforcement there because of an issue. Kayla Draconis reminds that your city councilor or 311 are great locations or sources or contact points to make reports as well. Ultimately, studies have to be done before changes are made, but you got to get everybody rallied around. Also, you may want to talk to your neighbors and get everyone to make the report. Loud voices together are often heard rather than you being the only person who reaches out. If I see a cop breaking the law, what can I do? Well, if you think they're breaking the law, you can certainly report them, but it depends on what you're talking about. If you mean that they're speeding, well, we're legally allowed to exceed the speed limit. If you're talking about using the cell phone or computer or two-way radio while they're driving, they're legally allowed to do that. So it really depends on what you're talking about. Certainly, if there are people who are wearing a uniform and breaking the law, our police supervision and all police officers want to know, because we're about protecting people and enforcing the law, not breaking it. So we don't want to see people victimized by anyone breaking the law. But it really depends on what we're talking about. Can I let my friend drive my insured car? Yes, you can lend people your car. However, you got to make sure that they are licensed, because if you lend your friend a vehicle and they are not licensed, you can be charged under the Highway Traffic Act for permitting an unlicensed driver to operate a motor vehicle. Let's see here. Can I drive in Quebec with my G2? Yes, you can go intraprovincially. You can even drive into the States with a G2. Can I have an aftermarket muffler different than the original? As long as it is legal, it meets the requirements, then you can have one. Does Ontario have a concealed weapons permit? No. Ontario and nor Canada offers concealed weapons permits. You cannot carry a firearm as a civilian, period. There used to be, for special situations where very few people were issued carry permits for firearms, they were judges or persons of that were authorized to carry. And I think at one point Ontario had like 9 people in the entire province who were allowed to carry. That's going back 20 years. I don't even know if it's even done anymore. But very special situations. But generally speaking, no. Can you talk on an Apple Watch while driving? Speaking on one in speakerphone mode is not a problem. Touching it or activating it or swiping around is still distracted driving. It is still a handheld communication device for the purposes of laying the charge. Let's see here. Boy, 6 minutes left.
Time goes by quick, hey?
It does. It's wild and crazy and all that.
But you do an amazing job, sir. Keep it up.
Thank you very much. It is something I've really come to enjoy, and I hope we keep doing this for a long, long time. Or somebody else comes over and takes over. Somebody's got to do this, because we need this. This is important. Okay.
When you go, I go.
Best way to beat a laser ticket. I'll tell you how to avoid a laser ticket. Don't speed. If you've been charged, good luck. I don't know how you're going to defend it, because that is pinpoint accuracy, and you got caught doing something you shouldn't have been doing. We don't generally lay tickets to people who aren't speeding. So, Mark Anthony, I propose 1 more hour, like 2 hours a day. I need to like have a snack break in between. And 2 hours a day, too much. Mind you, Thursday, hour and a half. It is the extra large episode, so we can accommodate the Jerry Agar show on News Talk 1010. Let's see here. Thoughts about stunt drivers in Peel in Toronto. How about this? Stunt drivers anywhere. You're doing something dangerous, and you deserve to be caught and prosecuted and lose your license and your vehicle for the new levels, which is 30 days if you're charged for your license suspension and 14 days for impound, and you deserve to have to pay for all that. because stunt driving is dangerous, and it's a reason it's against the law. So that's my thoughts on stunt driving. It shouldn't be done. If you want to, stunt, if you want to race, you want to do things that are dangerous, do it on a closed track where it's legal. Big Jeff Fresh says, have a good day, Sean and everyone. Got to go do some stuff before birthday supper. Is it your birthday, Big Jeff Fresh? Happy birthday if it is. If it's not, whoever you're celebrating for deserves a happy birthday, and please pass it on to them if it's not you. But hopefully it's you, and happy, I don't know what other kind of greetings and salutations beyond happy birthday we can give you, but all the best. Okay. I'm colorblind, but in the Army, can I be a Toronto Police Service member? Now, you say be a TPS. I think you mean police officer. Color acuity is a requirement for our application process. You have to be able of seeing color for a police officer. That being said, you can join our service as a parking enforcement officer, as a court officer, special constable. I do not believe that they have, well, definitely court officer, but I don't think special constable requires color acuity. The best thing to do would be check out our website, www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. You can get in touch with somebody from our recruiting unit, and they'd be able to help you with that information. And we are actively hiring. So if you're interested in becoming a police officer, special constable, parking enforcement officer, any member of the Toronto Police Service, and we also hire civilians for lots of different things. We just had a call out for, what was it? Mechanics, and then we also had some systems ops for people who were in technology and computers. So there's always opportunities with this great service. So if you're interested in a career with a fantastic employer, check us out, www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. And about to say goodbye to the folks who are watching on Instagram. We only get an hour with you because Instagram has not saw fit to authorize us as valid citizens of the internet. So until we get that status, we are cut off at an hour. So in 60 seconds, we will say goodbye to you, but it's been a pleasure, and we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Let's continue along with some questions. Let's see here. Okay. Legal way to have exhaust note on your car. Well, you have an exhaust note. If you mean a nicer exhaust note, you can always get a freer breathing, larger diameter or different exhaust system, but it must be legal, whatever you put on there. Thanks, Q. Q put up here, tps.on.ca/careers. It's on screen for you if you want to screen grab it for later. That is the link to our recruiting. Oh, it is big. Okay, sorry. Big Jeff Fresh. A very big happy birthday to Big Jeff Fresh. Wait, look over there. There you are.
Happy birthday!
Big Jeff Fresh is a regular listener, like an everyday listener. So it's really cool to be able to. We have to do like a birthday segment. Maybe people email us their birthdays and we can do some surprise birthday announcements here. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, we'll have to figure out how to do that. How to organize these things. Okay. Does TPS have a ride-along? We used to. I don't know what's happening with that right now. If you were a member of you were in school, you were interested in volunteering, things like that, we did all sorts of things like that in the past, and I'm sure it'll come back again in the future. I just don't know the ins and outs of that. Let's see here. Okay, we already talked about that. Ashton Stein, am I late? My favorite Manitoban, you are never late. Whenever you get here is on time. But yeah, you did miss the show. Let's see here. What's TPS? TPS is Toronto Police Service. It's sort of visible behind me. It is a police service for the city of Toronto, and that's where I work, in the Traffic Safety Programs Office of Traffic Services. Okay.
No, you did not. At the end of the show?
I didn't say okay. I said okay.
You did now.
Okay. Can you overtake illegally if someone is impeding? Can you break the law because someone is going too slow? You can never break the law. I can't tell you that it's legal to break the law, and nor even if I. No, there's just no. I'm trying how to phrase this nicely. You're not allowed to break the law. Now, if they're impeding traffic and they're doing so illegally, then find a safe way to overtake them. But you cannot do dangerous or unsafe things just because somebody else is doing dangerous or unsafe things. This seems like something my mom told me a long time ago. Let's see here. What is the latest update on stunt driving? There's not a lot of updates. The last update was September 12th, 2000. Well, actually, that's not true. There's something that did come out in terms of driver school. There's going to be courses that you will have to take if you are convicted, where you will have to take a course in order to maintain your driver's license. So you know what? I'm going to do a video on that. I'll have to read a couple of blurbs to make sure I'm on point, but I'll do an update for you so we can do that. But basically, if you're convicted and you don't take the course, bye-bye license. Yeah, but there are obviously other things in play already, like the 30-day license suspension and the 14-day impound, and then on conviction, the 1 to 3 year suspension and the up to $10,000 fine for the first time. Stunt driving and impaired driving have almost the same consequences, almost. Pierre Paul says, "Hey Sean, is there any way we connect by email? I would love to get in touch with you." Yeah, Pierre, you can certainly contact me. You're already on my page for LinkedIn. Shoot me a message or connect with me, and we'll reach out and connect. Okay, let's see here. What's going on here? What's there? What is this? Is there a charge for two-stepping a car at a light? What is two-stepping? I can't answer a question without knowing what the question is. Q, do you know what two-stepping is?
Two-stepping?
Yeah, I don't know. But Sebastian, let me know what two-stepping is. Clarify your question, and we will love to answer your question. Are decals legal? When stickers become illegal, we got problems. Decals on a vehicle are not illegal, and now decals on windows that obscure a driver's view, those would be illegal. What's
Sorry. Like launch control two-stepping? Is that what that person's talking about?
I don't know.
So two-step is a secondary rev limiter that holds a certain RPM for optimum power delivery, aka launch control.
That sounds like a bad idea in city streets. Launch control is something for the track, is it not? I think it is. Is it specifically illegal? I would imagine that in combination with driving on the roads, a marked departure from the driving that is expected from other drivers, I think you're looking at getting into Tracy Bell says it's using 1 foot on the gas and 1 foot on the brake, two-stepping, two pedals, driving with 2 feet. I don't know. This is always interesting, and the deal is that driving with 2 feet is not specifically legal. It's not wise. It's not suggested, but it's not illegal. Also, we have no way of knowing really if you're using two-step or if it's pedal confusion or what. But going back to decals, are they legal? Decals all over your vehicle might cause issues for your insurance company if it's determined that you might be marketing or using it for business purposes. So it's a different angle to consider. And I've heard of people who have insurance claims denied because they've determined to have been marketing or using their vehicle for marketing. But just putting stickers on your car, not an issue. Wait, Tracy Bell is recanting and saying, no, that's not two-stepping, that's line lock. I'm now thoroughly confused. So line lock, you talking about launch control for line lock? Okay, we're going to have to do an episode where we just drill down on this question for an hour. Okay. Hey, Jesse, how you doing? Let's see here. We're overtime, but we're having fun, so let's see what else is going on here. What is the difference between constable and officer? Many police services in the States refer to the rank of officer as opposed to constable. Constable or police constable is the actual rank that I hold. PC is the abbreviation. But I'm, and people will refer to me as a police officer, but I am a police constable. Our rank structure starts as police constable, police sergeant, staff sergeant, inspector. We do have staff inspectors, staff superintendents, staff superintendents, deputy chief, and chief, and so that's our rank structure. And every service is going to have a different one. Again, like there are some services in the States, and patrolman is their rank, so it depends on where you are. But essentially, an officer, I think, covers all police, and then the rank is constable. Boom, boom, boom. Why mod exhaust are illegal even with the cats on? It's not about modifying exhausts that make it illegal. It's about making the modifications that are illegal that make it illegal. So if your exhaust system no longer meets the requirements set forth under law, that's illegal. So you have to be able to muffle sound. If you don't have if your muffler doesn't muffle, it's not a muffler. It's just a can that makes a lot of noise. So the deal is that there's a prescribed limit as to what can be used, and as long as you're within those requirements, you're okay. And if you're not, you're not, and that's it. It has been an absolute pleasure to spend time with you today. That being said, I got to go, and we'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. till 11 a.m., doing this all over again. And Jesse just says, I notice police officers always touch the back light of a car when they walk up or pulled over to a vehicle to speak with the driver. Why is that? I said it was no other questions, but Jesse asked, and I can't say no. The answer is that it's not something that's generally done in Canada. Some officers do it. It is to basically mark that vehicle, saying they were there. And if that vehicle takes off, then they have a fingerprint to match to say that's the vehicle that I stopped. But it's not something we normally do. Again, we are out, but back tomorrow. Have a great one.
Bye.